Welcome back once again to the 10th edition of the Diggie A2 Season 2 podcast. Having so much fun. We're decked out today, paying homage to Funk Dr. Spock, a.k.a. Reggie Noble, a.k.a. Redman, one of the most significant MCs in the period of the shift. And we're just having a lot of fun still, and we are knocking down some of the bigger dominoes during that time in the era in the hip-hop. And it's just been a crazy ride, and actually it's getting kind of sad actually, because now we're getting toward the end of the season, so I'm kind of feeling some type of way about that. But in all seriousness, thank you to all of our fans, followers, supporters, even some of our new listeners in San Antonio, Texas. So thank you all for that. We spent some time in San Antonio this past week hanging out with our daughter, our son-in-law, and spending Thanksgiving with our grandchildren. So it was a great time, but it was time to come back home and get back to business. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Queen herself. So Queen, you got any words for the people before we start?
I actually do. First off, I want to say thank you to, once again, as you said, all our viewers, all our listeners, all our true 100% genuine supporters. Everyone, shout out to San Antonio, Texas, who started tapping in. Shout out to the Republic of India, because y'all are just dominating it. I love it. Shout out to just everybody who is viewing, listening, uplifting, uniting, and just joining the Diggie journey. And at the end, I have some sweet little surprises for you. On that end, I'll just hand it over back to the king himself.
All right. Well, today we have a very, very special guest that I want to introduce to you guys. You have not seen her on this platform before, and I'm going to give her a very royal welcome. So who we have on with us today is Hollyondemand, with no spaces. Holly, I got you. No spaces in the name, right? So Hollyondemand is a female hip-hop artist from Brooklyn, New York. You probably have seen her. If you are a battle rap fan, you've probably seen some of her battles on YouTube. You can go check it out now that I've referenced it. She's been in the game, coming back into the hip-hop game now since last year, getting a lot of momentum. I love some of her music. She has a song out there called Only Fan, very clever, very wordy, wordplay. And one of the most significant things about Hollyondemand on this platform is she is the very first female hip-hop artist on this platform. So shout out to you, Holly. Thank you so much. And I'm going to bring you in here. Let me see if I can switch gears and bring you in here correctly so I don't jack this up. So there's Holly. Holly, how are you? So glad to have you on with us, spending time on. I know it was last minute, my mom. I thank you so much at the bottom of my heart for dropping everything you had this evening. And how are you? And what is going on right now? How are you? What's going on?
I'm great. I'm honored to be here. Honestly, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm honored. If you'd have called me 3 minutes, I'd have said yes.
I appreciate that.
We are so thankful, and like, you don't know how much it means for us. Me and Jessica have been trying to get more female presence on the show. So we're doing some things in the background and trying to get more, because females are just as much a part of hip hop than males are. So we definitely need to break down that barrier and have more female presence on the show. But you're the first female hip hop artist, so you are it. So we are looking for you to trailblaze and have other female hip hop artists say, yo, Hollyondemand was on there. We got to get on this show. Like, this is some hot shit. So we need to get on here too. So we appreciate you. And the first question that I always ask new guests that are on the Diggie A2 podcast is, when or how did you fall in love with hip hop?
Well, being from Brooklyn, the first, I would say, what made me fall in love with it was Biggie. That's the short answer.
No doubt. Rest in peace, B.I.G. Rest in peace.
The short answer is Biggie. I mean, that's just it.
That's what's up. So I think that's a good answer. I think that's good enough to get by. Big was such an icon, and I wasn't from Brooklyn, but the stories that I hear about Big was so loved in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he was
He
just
was.
he was a big personality. He was loved, and you don't see that a lot where an entire borough, an entire community stands behind one rapper, and Biggie was able to do that. And we all know the story of Biggie, and we pay homage to Biggie, and rest in peace, Big, because I was a huge fan myself, still am to this day. But today we're talking about Reggie Noble, aka Redman. So let me talk about the gentleman that we're going to be talking about in this episode. So let me run down some accolades real quick. Reggie Noble signed to Def Jam Records. One of the few artists actually signed to Def Jam in the early 90s there. He was nominated for 2 Grammys, did not win. Actually, Reggie doesn't have a lot of awards per se per music, but his impact is felt. That's why we're talking about him today. He actually was founded by Eric Sermon from EPMD. So Reggie Noble, his story is like one of those rags to riches kind of stories. So this gentleman was selling drugs on the other side of the law, and Eric Sermon like pretty much founded him and took him in, had him live into his apartment, took him on the road. He was his roadie. He was carrying bags. I mean, like everything that he did to pave his way, or you know what I mean, like to earn his keep in a sense. That's what he did. He did everything that he was asked of, and he got his first shine on one of the shows at an EPMD concert, and that's when it all kind of took off from there. So and then he made 2 albums in the period of time with The Shift. Both of them are gold albums. The first one is What the Album, released in September of 1992, which has Time for Some Action, Blow Your Mind, and Tonight's the Night, one of my favorite songs he has on there. And then a couple of years later, in November of 1994, he dropped this one thing that's behind me here, There Is a Dark Side, which is a phenomenal hip-hop album, which dropped Rockefeller, and Can't Wait and the Rockefeller remix on there too. So lots of great hits. And he also had those Superman Lover like skits and stuff.
Yes.
He's in something weird with Redman and Superman Love. It's weird. I don't know what the relationship is, Redman. Maybe you'll tell me one of these days. I don't know. But that's all the accolades that we have for Redman for right now. But I'm going to kick off the conversation with the new lady in the group today. So Holly, you get the first question coming at you. And one of the things that is what I would say is a lost art in hip hop is lyricism, punchlines, being witty. That's, to me, as a fan of hip hop, I've seen it kind of deteriorate over the last few years. So when you think about Reggie Noble, he's probably, to me, what this episode is called Redman, the Punchline King, because Redman is punchline heavy. You listen to any of his songs, he's hitting you with punches left and right. That's just his style. But I also think it's an East Coast thing. So what is your take on that? Is East Coast hip hop about punchlines and lyricism? And how do you feel about that? Or is it a lost art in today's hip hop? How do you feel about that?
Wow. So I feel that everyone basically get their, try punchlining in their music. And I think it just differs with the coast that it comes from, because everyone just pretty much put their own taste on what they're accustomed to. So I just feel like everybody pretty much mimics what they've grown accustomed to, like what they hear.
Yeah.
And then they put their spin on it.
Yeah, so with that in mind, I think that's a great point, because in today's hip hop, it seems like it's the same kind of sound, right? So it's not a lot of originality nowadays, right? So it seems like everybody's trying to do the same thing, the same beat, but trying to put a different spin on it. And you, as a female hip hop artist, how do you find it for you navigating now through today's time in hip hop? Now, granted, we're talking about Redman, which I'll get back to in a second, but I definitely want to let the fans know and hear a little bit about you and how you are navigating through this male-dominated genre that you decided to be so great at.
Oh, you're so sweet. So I honestly am just true to what's embedded in me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's, to me, there's so much, especially with the internet. it is so much music out there. You're not really forced to kind of listen to what's on the radio. So if you're not feeling it, there's like millions of other people you could get lost into.
Yeah.
So especially with all of these streaming platforms and just different ways of getting music now, and it's so much out there that you can hear about artists before anybody jumps on the artist and just get lost in anybody, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's a definitely a different time from when Redman was coming out, because I remember, well, I'm showing my age a little bit here, but yeah, when I would listen to hip hop, it was like only on Sunday nights at like midnight to like 3 in the morning. A college station would play strictly hip hop music because it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So that was the only little time I could make my my little mixtapes and put them in a cassette player. You know what I mean? Make my little mixtapes and show them all to my boys. But that's one of the first time I heard Redman, and the first time I heard Redman was on a song called what was the song with him? The Headbanger. It's got an EPMD song called The Headbanger because he goes, Negroes! I was like, yo, what is that? That is fire. So that's the first time I heard Redman, and then he just destroys that track. So those of you who are hip hop fans and know about Redman, the last verse on The Headbanger, he just completely destroys the booth on that. Even better than K Solo, better than Eric Sermon. I mean, everybody that was on the track was waiting for kind of like how hopscotch is. A double dutch. You're kind of waiting. You're waiting. Yo, when's Redman coming? When's Redman coming? Then when Redman gets on the track, he kills it, and that's what really catapulted his career by being on The Headbanger. But with that in mind, I pass the mic over to the Queen real quick. So, babe, when you're listening to some of the Redman's music from the past couple of weeks, what are some of the songs that you like that you could pick out that you want the fans to know that you liked about from the previous couple of weeks?
Well, to me, honestly, there are several, but one that stuck out to me, and I actually listened to it a few times today because I was dissecting it. It was Rockefeller, R.I.P., where he had that short intro, R.I.P., and then he went into the song.
Yeah.
And I heard him, and I was like, wait a minute, let me rewind that, or let me hit play back on my Apple, and then let me listen. And he's just like, yeah, for all you female MCs, cock block, and I'm like, whoa, he is witty on this wordplay. What is he? Yeah. Hold on, let me rewind that again. So, listening to that is kind of where he really got me. And as I was telling you today, you know what I mean? Like for myself or for anyone who really hasn't listened to Redman, I'm a big person where if I don't know you, I could hear like your tone, and your tone will tell me something. And so like his tone kind of was just like, hey, I came from nothing, but I'm hard, I'm grimy, and you're going to listen to me. You're going to give me the respect that I deserve.
Yeah.
And that's the tone of his music, his voice, his vocals. That's how it came off. But that one song, it drew me in, like, you know what I'm saying? He was just like, you just gonna hear me, and that's it.
Yeah, punchlines, wittiness, a lost art, I would say, in hip hop, which to me is kind of sad because I'm a fan of hip hop. I'm such a fan, and I told my audience before that I'm a big fan of battle rap. So now I get to pass it over to Hollyondemand on this one. So Hollyondemand, I've seen your battles. I'm a fan of your battle raps. I seen you take a couple of L's though, but you know what? You learn from those L's, and I saw you come back in the next battle and you got better, you got sharper. And that's one of the things that I definitely want our fans to resonate, that although even myself as a podcaster, I misquote things, I messed up, but I come back and like, remember, I'm not gonna do that same mistake twice. I'm gonna remember what I need to remember. So with that in mind, with you coming from the battle rap realm, which is really, really rare, and I guarantee you, Holly, when this airs, there are going to be people from all over the place wanting to know about you because there are so many. It's like a subgenre of hip hop is what I call battle rap. There's a lot of people that like it, but don't like to admit they like it, right? It's like one of the things like, yeah, I kind of like it, but I really don't. But you talk to other people that like it, you're like, it's kind of like anime too. Like it's like anime is kind of frowned upon a little bit, but then you meet somebody else that watches it, you're like, oh snap, yo, I like that. So with that in mind, though, I want to talk to you a little bit about your experience in battle rap. What was that experience like, and do you plan to come back to battle rap at some point in the future?
Okay, so wow, that was such a loaded question. So many questions.
I know, I'm sorry. I told you it's not scripted. It's not scripted. I'm sorry, yo.
So what I love about battle rap, I think that was one of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What I love about battle rap is it's very direct and it gives you immediate gratification. So it's like if you say something hot and you get a response, you know you killed, and you know the rest of your material is gonna go over well.
Yeah.
If you got some dry spot and you don't really hear it, it's like it can either shake you or give you even more confidence, more confidence to just deliver more with your performance.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what people don't catch live, they tend to catch on the replay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So talk about that a little bit. How is the energy different from being actually, because I've seen, battle rap ciphers. I've never been to one myself, but I've seen a lot of battle rap on YouTube. But I would love to be in the presence of an actual battle rap. So how is it different from viewing it on TV as opposed to being in the arena, you against your opponent, you know what I'm saying, one-on-one? I know there's a little bit of crowd right there, but it's really you just literally just trying to knock your opponent out. It's like boxing. It's like lyrical boxing is what I like to equate it to. So what is that experience like? Like, what is that like?
It's nerve-wracking. For me, I used to get these knots in my stomach because it's like you hate your opponent all the way until you get your rocks off, and then you love that you finish,
Mm-hmm.
and you're happy that you both survived it.
Yeah.
So it's it's I don't think it's for the faint of heart, but it's definitely a rush. It's a rush, I would say. If you're a performer, just to get in front of a crowd and you know that they hanging on to your word, if they're not tipsy, but you know that they're hanging on to your word and
Yeah.
they're waiting to hear what you say.
Yeah.
Because that's the art form of where, they want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no music to make them bop to or get them lost in the feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to give them that feeling
Yeah.
when you speak.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, my last question, then I'll leave it alone, I promise. Do you plan to, or do you want to make a comeback? So, do you plan to want to come back to battle rap, or would you ever dabble your feet back into it? Because I know sometimes, especially with a rising star like you, once you get to a certain plateau, you're gonna have people starting to pick at your feet, like, oh, yo, I battled her, whatever, whatever. It's gonna make you have to take that cake back off and show them what time it is. You know what I mean? So, do you see that maybe happening, or you're just gonna kind of see how it unfolds?
So I'm true to myself. So I don't like to count anything out. It's a couple of people that reached out to me already.
That's
So
what's up. Oh, you went mute on us.
You went mute on us.
can you hear me?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Go
we
ahead.
good,
Go ahead.
we good,
You
we
good.
good.
You good.
We good. Listeners, stay on here. We good. We got it
We
back.
good. We good.
I'm sorry. So I'm true to myself, and if I see an opportunity where it makes sense for me to be a part of it, I definitely will. I'm working on a project where I might just have like my EP. I might just have some intimate views of me, just one often with maybe some favorite battlers and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that'd be dope.
So, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it.
That's what's
But
up, man. And one of the things that, even though we're talking about Redman today, Redman was in a lot of ciphers. So a cipher is, where you're in maybe like a circle, half circle, a couple of casts, sparring back and forth. But when you get Redman into a cipher, you are in for a world of hurt because that brother can rap. His punchlines are deep. He had a battle back in 2015 on the BT Hip Hop Awards, which is called the Def Jam Cypher. Eric Sermon went first, Redman went second. I don't even think anybody even remembered what Keith Murray even had to say after that because they were so focused on what Redman had to say. So Redman is a significant staple in hip hop. And babe, I'm gonna let you get the last word on this before we start closing things out. And when we talk about Redman and his significance to the culture, what do you think his significance to the culture of hip hop is? What is his legacy? What is his legacy in hip hop?
I mean, his legacy in hip hop, we always want to talk about, like their lyrical scheme and, how much of a heavy hitter he was. But for me personally, I think his impact was showing that you can come from nothing to something.
Yeah.
Showing that you had the belief in yourself, and no matter what anybody said, living out your car, you know what I'm saying, being homeless at one time, it didn't matter. Being on MTV Cribs, and they showed him
his house was jacked.
His house was jacked,
so jacked,
eating microwave meals, but he was a humble person. But he could rap his ass off. Yeah. So to me, I think his impact was the fact that he showed you can come from nothing to something. And I think with that, he stapled, and I think it should be a model, actually.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, that should be a model for today's industry.
Yeah.
For the indie artists today to believe in themselves and know that, hey, you can come from being in your basement, producing or rapping, you can come from nothing to something. If you believe in your skills, you believe in it, and you work for it, because don't nothing come easy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And the last thing I will say about that is, when Redman dropped There Is a Dark Side, he talks about this in an interview of his, that was the darkest time of his life. And a lot of fans come up to Redman and say, yo, Redman, There's a Dark Side was your best album. And he don't even talk about it. Like, he was going through a really tough time. He was on drugs. He was using drugs. And he barely even remembers that time in his life. So with that in mind, you just never know what anybody is going through. You don't, people that are successful, they're fighting demons that we just don't see. You know what I mean? So it's always, as you mentioned, Holly, staying true to yourself and not compromising who you are. And everybody falls down. You know what I mean? Everybody goes through stuff, and it's always good to come back from it. And Redman is definitely a success story. And Redman is definitely one of the best MCs that we have ever seen in hip hop, period. Ooh. So I put him up against anybody, that's ever blessed a microphone. He would definitely be. We had a debate about this last week.
Bold statement right here.
No, not exactly, but I put Redman in the top 10 all time. But I don't know if I could put him in front of Method Man. So I don't know. Like, what do you all think about that? Holly, I'm gonna ask you first. Redman or Method Man? Who's in front? How would you rank? Is it one rank above, one level, or what do you think about that? Now, you coming from New York now. I'm not saying you biased, but you coming from New York, so you got to keep it real right here.
I usually say whenever I have to defend the Method Man, Redman, or Method Man against anybody else, I say that the greatest rapper of all time had one feature on his album, his first album, and the only feature he had was Method
Man.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it was called The What, if I remember right. It was called The What. Yeah. So I know a little bit, you know what I mean? I got you. I got you.
You know what?
I got you.
Don't even. I'm gonna stop you right there. Don't ask me, because she must have been reading my mind, because that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Wow.
It literally, in my head, I'm like, dang, it's not a biased thing. It's nothing. It's not, you know what I'm saying? So, but that I have to agree with her 110% on that, because you don't see that kind of homage very often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, when you have someone featured on your track, then it's kind of, you move on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was the first, and you gotta give mad respect for that, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Biggie definitely top 5, dead or alive, for sure. Without even blinking an eye, I would say top 5, dead or alive. I don't think he's number 1. And talk to me about this later on, Holly. We'll talk about this offline. I know it's gonna hurt your heart a little bit, but that's okay. That's hip hop, right? But we'll talk about it offline. But I like the new school of the new kings, is what I call them. To me, in hip hop right now, and I'm on record saying this, there are 3 kings in hip hop. There's Drake, there's Kendrick Lamar, and there's J. Cole. Those are the 3 kings in hip hop. And one of the first couple albums that J. Cole had, no features, none, 0, just J. Cole, just him, right? So that goes back to your point, Holly. Like, if you're going to be big on your own, collaborate a little bit. But when it comes to your specific project, you don't need a whole bunch of collaborations. One, you open yourself up to being outshined by a fellow rapper, which happens a lot. You know what I mean? You definitely don't want that to happen. So, you don't want people talking about you having a guest feature, and the guest feature does better than you on the same album. So you definitely want to open yourself up. But I think you all, we've done Redman a service, and hopefully, Reggie, if you see this, man, like, we're huge fans. We pay homage to you and your contributions to hip hop. But ladies, it's time to start wrapping things up. And as we've been doing all season 2, a hood of salute for Trayvon Martin and all of the others that we have lost through the social injustice. And we're going to pass the mic over to Hollyondemand with no spaces. Who are you shouting out this week, ma'am? Who do you want to see this show this week?
Everybody.
Almost put my drink out.
I'm not going to single anybody out. Everybody.
That's dope.
Turn it up, please. Salute.
No, salute you, Ma. We appreciate you. And thank you so much for, like I mentioned, I'll say this again, but literally dropping everything. Like, I think it's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time here in Kansas City. I think we called Holly about 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's like, yo, can you please come on the podcast with us, please? Like, and she did it without, like, no hesitation.
Yep.
And, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's love, and we appreciate that. That's mad love, and we're gonna push you, Holly, as far as we can go. You can come back on here, and I would want you, I actually would challenge you to come back on here so we can come back on and have another female perspective that is in the game and has a true knowledge of hip hop. And that's what we need on this platform. So I thank you and I appreciate you coming on board today with us. So Queen, who do you shouting out this week, ma'am?
First I want to shout out Hollyondemand, because as he said, on a blink of an eye, on a drop of a hat, I call this afternoon, she says, Jess, I'm down, I got you. You don't really hear that much, but you know what? That to me shows the genuine, shows the, you know what I'm saying, where I always say we're here to uplift and unite one another. So that's my first shout out is to you, ma'am, and we finna, just like I said, push you forward, and trust me, just hit us up and say, give us a shout out when you get up there. You know what I'm saying?
That's all I want.
That's all we want. We good.
Don't need no money.
Don't need no money. We do this for love.
Yeah, we do this for the love, man. We do this for the love. That's real talk.
I also want to shout out my friend, my girl Ashton, Miss Weefy Sports, what my one-of-a-kind hoodie she made me. That's my one-of-a-kind hoodie. So I definitely need to shout her out because she's been showing me mad love every time I post something, and supporting since day 0. And my last things are, they ain't shout outs, but there's some things I needed to let y'all know. We are here to support and uplift everyone. You know, the motto of this platform is everyone can shine and succeed together. So with that being said, this is going to drop on Tuesday, tomorrow, at 6:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you tune in or you hear it on the podcast, know that on our website, www.diggie2.com, we are running a Cyber Week. And we did Cyber Week 50% off because, as I said, in true fashion, I remain genuine to who I am. And there's small business struggling. Everybody's about their hustle. Everybody's about to do something. But why can't I just do 50% off for everything for a whole week for everybody? So I wanted to let y'all know that. To everyone else, I want to let y'all know that we're doing bigger things. If you sign up for the newsletter starting January, we're going to do monthly giveaways, monthly promotions, birthday. If it's your birthday, we're going to send you something special. But the biggest treat, and I'll end it off because I feel you, honey. I feel you.
I'm good.
My biggest thing that I want to put out there, and this is hopefully for everyone you know, Hollyondemand, everyone that listens, everyone I know, starting January, the first Thursday in January, the Diggie platform is starting to do something to uplift and unite those indie artists that need more exposure. And we do this in a fashion that we want to do it professionally. So if y'all go on our website, you'll see on there It's professional. You ain't getting on there to rock. You ain't getting this. I'm getting out there to literally showcase you, because I believe that if you don't help the next, then how can they continue? You have to find the real people in life to push you to that next level. So that is the next 2021 that people kind of been asking me about. And that's what's coming up on the Diggie platform, is hopefully showcasing artists all over the world.
Word.
Not just Kansas. I'm talking about Brooklyn,
Word.
Georgia, anyone you know. I'm talking about anyone, multi-genre, because everyone needs that push and that belief in themselves and from someone else. And that's just who I am. And I'll leave it at that. And shout out to my husband, because I couldn't do it without him.
No doubt, babe. Man, that's a hard act to follow, man. Like, I don't even know. Like, she pretty much summed it all up. So basically, you guys, we need some work. So give us some work. Give us some work. We're going to put in whatever you give us. But we're super excited and super humble with the platform that we've been blessed with. But my shout outs are short. First shout out is to just family. Spending time with our grandbabies this past week just like really melts my heart and makes me appreciate the things that I do have in my life. Everybody's always wondering about, man, I don't have this, so I don't have that. Like, you just shift that paradigm and think of the things that you do have. You know, think of the things that are in your life. So be thankful for the stuff that you have. So I want to give a shout out to my family, all my family. Today's my cousin Nikki's birthday. Happy birthday, cuz. I love you. And next up, I want to give a shout out to K Simone. K Simone from Hot 90, I'm sorry, not Hot 97, from 107.9 in Atlanta. Sorry about that, K Simone. So I got to meet K Simone this past week, and she is a hip-hop personality down there in Atlanta, so showing homage to my hometown. So hopefully one day we'll have you on the show. But you guys, hopefully if we have her on, she was like the nicest person I think I've ever met, like this whole year. Like, she was so cool, so humble. And I asked her, like, yo, like, we're doing this podcast, would you mind coming on? She was like, oh yes, I would love to be on there. So you don't meet people like that at that stature that's on the radio every day in Atlanta, Georgia, one of the most busiest cities in America. So shout out to K Simone. Hopefully we'll have you on soon. And next week we're going to be doing the illustrious Snoop Dogg or Snoop Doggy Dogg. I am so excited. The West Coast King. We're going to talk about him. And our guest will be Nick motherfucking Gibbs is coming in with that next week. One of the most talented brothers in the state of Kansas. Come and hang out with me next week. But for this, you guys, that's all we have. Shout out to you guys. Stay safe. Wear your mask. And shout out to hip hop. All right. Keep safe. 100.